Welcome to the adventures of the Dark Horse. As this crazy year comes to a close, we've chosen 4 episodes of our Dark Horse story to encourage us all as we look into 2021. You see, the Dark Horse is a picture of any one of us who unexpectedly wins. He's a picture of grace. It's also a picture of great courage running into danger. And certainly that's the way it looks like we're facing in the year ahead. And so we chose this story to be an encouragement to all of us as an allegory, a metaphor of the courage, the insight, and the hope that we will need to face into 2021. Our story is read by our good friend Bob Souer, professional voiceover artist, and our reader as well on the unabridged version, audio version of Dark Horse, which we will be giving away as part of our end of the year campaign. But more on that later. For now, enjoy the story.
There was now no small commotion created in the White Horse show. The air was choked with dust. Horses panicked and whinnied. People panicked and shouted. The thunder of the bolting Dark Horse seemed to echo and re-echo from the stable walls as spotlights turned off their White Horse subjects to search the crowd for the cause of the disruption. And the few of us who had heard the words of the Dark Horse were stamping our hooves in an agony of indecision. Even as I watched, the eyes of my 2 companions began to flicker and flame. And in that instant I knew. It should have been a hard decision, but it was not. The truth was too clear. The challenge was too compelling. The next events happened so fast that I only remember flashes and pictures, but those pictures will always stay vivid in my mind. The flying dust, the easily vaulted fences, the pounding hooves, the sweat and dirt mingling to mud and caking on my white leg, the faint outline of the other horses, black against the night sky. Racing into the darkness, we had only the stars for light. That, and the light of the White One shining through our eyes, driving us across plains we had never run, toward mountains we had never seen. We galloped all night until a fringe of orange-red light began to outline the mountains, still far in the distance. There were 5 of us now, 4 plus the Dark Horse. 2 of the horses were from the White Horse Ranch, but the other was unfamiliar to me. He had a stronger odor than the horses I was used to, and his coat was thickly matted. It was obvious he had spent his whole life on the plains. "Where are we going?" he said. "We are going toward the enemy camp," the Dark Horse replied, having just returned from a drink at a nearby stream. "How far is the enemy camp?" asked one of the schooled horses. "As far as it will always be if we keep moving." We were quiet for a few moments, acting like we understood when we didn't. "As long as you run toward the enemy camp, you will never reach it." Now what kind of donkey talk was that? I had run all night pursuing a target I didn't want to reach. Suddenly I found myself thinking about the White Horse Ranch, my hay-carpeted stall, hot mash for breakfast, the attention, the routine, the grooming. Then the thought hit me, a cold jolt in my tired bones. There was no going back. I had left the White Horse Ranch for good. This wasn't just a lark, a trot down the road that would be over tomorrow. I was standing tired and muddy in a strange land, following a strange horse who spoke strange words and pursued a strange destination we didn't want to reach. I felt very alone. Then the plains horse broke in on my thoughts, already the one to say what we were all thinking. "I don't understand." "The enemy dwells in darkness," said the Dark Horse. "He thrives in it. He can only do his work in the dark. If we run toward him, he must flee from us. We have the light of the White One in our eyes, and he can't bear it. But if we stay in one place, we begin to doubt whether there is an enemy at all. Then, as we take our ease and enjoy our comforts, he moves his camp closer and closer to ours until he is able to influence us without our even knowing it. Sleep was mounting my shoulders like an impatient rider, eager to gallop into sweet oblivion. I barely heard the dark horse's answer to the last question before, warmed by the sun, I fell into a deep sleep. We travel at night because this is the age of darkness. Darkness is the reality, daylight is the lie. Run in the daylight and you'll be fooled by a lesser light or a well-worn path. The White One would lead us along new paths, paths to be found at night, for then we see only what he reveals to us. A morning comes when his light will ride the plains of the sky, the beginning of eternal day. But until that morning we run at night, because it is truly night in the world. After a day of sleeping in the warm sun and a roll in an icy stream, we were ready to run again. I was pleasantly surprised at being able to keep up with the others. It was definitely painful, but it was a good pain. I knew I was becoming stronger, and the night was so glorious that even if I had wanted to, I couldn't have focused on my pain for more than a moment. The air was crisp and cool, the ground was just hard enough to make a horse feel like flying, and the moon was so big and bright that it appeared to be resting on the crest of each new hill. "Which way do we go now?" a ranch horse panted after almost 3 hours of steady running. "Down," said the dark horse. We were standing, our backs steaming, at the edge of a deep, narrow gorge. There was the faint roar of rushing water below. The moon at our backs threw its silvery light partly down the opposite canyon wall. The descent before us, however, was cloaked in moonshadow. I could see my hooves, the rim of the plateau where we stood, and then total darkness. "We're going down there." That's what the horse said. It was the longest night I had ever spent. Slipping and sliding along loose shale, your nose pressed to the rump of the horse in front of you in order to stay together. At the bottom, after first following the direction of the stream and ending up at a dead-end waterfall, we reversed our direction and spent the rest of the night picking our way upstream along rough rocks and raging shallows. When we finally came to where the river gorge opened into a broad meadow, we exploded into the dazzling morning sunlight at full gallop. We frolicked like colts until, one by one, we fell exhausted, and as I drifted off to sleep, my mind ticked off the amazing things I had done in only 2 suns. Things I never would have imagined myself doing. Escaped the White Horse Ranch, vaulted 2 fences, galloped all night, galloped a second night on sore muscles, descended a steep canyon wall in total darkness, ran like a carefree foal along the very edge of a death-dealing torrent. Little did I know that there was a new challenge waiting for when I would be startled awake, one greater than all the former put together. A huge black cloud was billowing up from the ground, bearing down on us from the other end of the valley. Now, there is nothing more frightening to a horse than fire. He can scale heights, fight in wars, march through driving snow and rain, and cross virtually any terrain, but put fire before his eyes or the smell of smoke in his nostrils, and even the wisest horse dissolves into raving madness. Instinctively, we all turned and ran back toward the gorge that had brought us into this valley, only to find the dark horse there standing like a terrible sentinel, guarding our only exit from the burning valley. If you had left a horse on guard, you would have discovered the fire before it crossed the valley floor. The dark horse was screaming over the roar of both fire and water. Now we are boxed in. "Then we go back," cried the plains horse. "No," said the dark horse, rolling his eyes and pursing his lips. "The White One never leads us back, only forward." "But that's impossible. Forward is into the fire." "Then we go into the fire." "But we'll perish," I cried. "That is for him to decide. If he wants us to live, he will provide a way." Through the fire? How could I possibly do that? Deny my instincts, my fears, my very nature? Who was this dark horse and his White One who would lead us to our death? The voice of the dark horse broke suddenly into my thoughts. Now there is no more time. If you would follow the White One, follow me." And he was off into the fire.
You know, John, this is my favorite part of the book.
Yeah?
Want to know why?
Why?
Because we don't know whether or not he steps into the fire.
Yeah.
And most of our lives, this moment right now, I don't know if I'm going to step into the fire that's being presented to me, especially when I'm full of fear. And let's not forget, we're talking fire.
Yeah. Smoke and flames and all that stuff. And a horse is more scared of that than anything.
Except for me. Except for me stepping into the idea of stepping into the fire that the Lord's calling me to do. The only thing I know is I step into the fear, and maybe the fire will dissipate.
Mm-hmm. That's our
What do you think?
That's our only choice. That's our only choice.
I guess that's your only choice. You, our readers, whom we adore, and the people that we know through counseling and through prayer requests, and the 400 other volunteers besides myself who are working on behalf of the ministry and the boots on the ground, which, by the way, there's 20,049 people that are boots on the ground in 143 countries. It's not much until you think about the fact that there's this thing called multiplication, that every single one of those individuals is multiplying themselves. Anyways, going back to this, I get to be a dark horse, right?
Oh yes. Oh yes. We're all dark horses. Every
So,
one of us.
As we step into 2001, we can step into the fear, right?
Yes.
And we can be assured that the fear will be dissipated.
Well, I don't know.
We have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, stay with us, please, throughout this next year. Our desire is to bring you with ourselves into these places of hardship and
Yeah.
into the fire, and wherever you find yourself, to be the dark horse that does step into the fear and takes the chance that God's going to be on the other side.
Yeah. And that God, not only on the other side, but He's going to meet you in the fire. That's
Right. He's there.
the deal. Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
don't know that until you let go of the fire.
No,
the
there's
fear.
no other way you can know.
And how do you do that? You step into the fire.
Into it.
And by believing. We'll have a great year ahead of ourselves. We had any idea about what's going to be. You don't either, but we're going to do it together. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the new year.